Hi there, my name's Joey Berger. I'm the Permaculture Director here at Heartwood Mountain Sanctuary. We're a 200-acre mountain retreat in the hills of Humboldt County in Northern California. This time of year, it's mid-April, we would normally be beginning to host our events for the year: yoga classes, breath retreats, permaculture design courses, natural building workshops. We're in the middle of the COVID epidemic, and we are all locked down here right now, sheltering in place like much of the world as we wait for this pandemic to pass. So we're focusing our efforts this year on our food security here, making sure that Heartwood's garden is popping, we're getting veggies out of here, we're feeding our immediate community. We've got about 12 people living on the property right now, and we're hoping to produce enough food to supply part of the rest of our neighborhood. First thing I want to talk today about is food security. Why it's so important to grow our own food, the many reasons. As we're seeing through this pandemic, our supply chains for food are very fragile. If you've been to the grocery store lately, you've seen the shelves are pretty bare, prices are skyrocketing. So the more food we can start on our own, in our own backyards and our own windowsills, the better we'll be. The more boosted our immune system will be when we're eating healthy vegetables that we know weren't sprayed with pesticides, weren't grown with chemical fertilizers. So food security is very important. The more you can produce yourself, the better chance you have of keeping your body healthy and that immune system up. I'm going to talk about seed selection. Ideally, you want to grow seeds that were acclimated to your area. These are going to come from seed companies that are local to you. Unfortunately, right now in this pandemic, we're seeing a major seed shortage across the U.S. Some companies are only selling to commercial clients right now. Other companies are just stopping all sales altogether until they can catch up. So we're starting some older seeds. This was a package from 2016. These are some other seeds that weren't exactly local, but they're peppers and cucumbers, and they should just do pretty good in any hot region. I'm going to show you how we make our seed starting mix. This is some old potting soil that was actually sitting out over the winter. It got really wet. We spread it out on this tarp a few days ago, nice and thin, just to let it dry out a little bit. This is our little seed mixing area, soil mixing area. This is the bed soil that we dug out of our aisles that I was telling you about. You can see it's got a lot of wood chips in it. It's got a lot of mycelium in it. This is the bacteria it's actually a fungi that breaks down wood. This is what turns wood into soil. So it's a really good thing to have in our soil mix. It's going to mean we have a really active soil. It's going to break down nutrients and to make them available for the plants to eat. So we're going to add one part of this to one part of our old potting soil. And you can see lots of wood chips in here. This is going to give lots of good aeration. Some old cardboard. Here's a worm. And then this is a really good compost. We're going to add a half a bucket, half part to this. Gonna mix it all up. Really important that you save seeds whenever you get a chance. And this can be as simple as this morning I made my breakfast, I chopped up a nice bell pepper to throw in my eggs, and I saved those seeds. I scraped them out of there. Peppers are a really easy one to save. Put them on a little plate, just sitting out in my kitchen. Those are going to dry over the next few days. I'm going to label them, and we're going to be growing that sweet bell pepper, maybe even this year. Another thing you should be doing is seeking out your farmers. A lot of farmers markets are shut down right now, but those farmers are still selling vegetables, and a lot of them need your support right now. If you can't start your own, seek out your local farmers on Instagram, Facebook, wherever their social media is. A lot of them are switching right now to CSAs, Community Supported Agriculture. This means they're delivering boxes of vegetables, or there's a place for you to pick them up. So by shopping locally, get those seeds from those vegetables that are already being grown in your region, you've got a much better chance of growing something that's going to thrive in your microclimate. I'm going to talk to you now about your seed starting soil mix. Seedlings need a soil with a lot of aeration in it. That means having a lot of wood chips or perlite in this case. You want to make sure that you're not going to have a soil that's going to hold a lot of moisture, that it's going to dry out regularly. And if you get a lot of moisture in there, you don't get the air that you need, roots will start to rot, they won't be able to grow. It's going to stunt the growth of your plant. So we've got a really well aerated soil here. It's got a lot of wood chips in it, it's got some perlite. I'm going to show you now several different container types that you can start your seedlings in. If you're starting in your windowsill in your apartment, you can use a lot of things. You can use little cups. This is just a cup with a couple of holes in the bottom of it. Fill that up pretty full. It's going to settle a little bit, but you want to leave a little bit of space at the top. You can write what's on the, what kind of plant you have, the date that you planted it. Put that right in a little saucer or in a tray. When you're buying trays, you want to make sure that they come either with holes or without them. This was actually a tray that came without holes that we punched some in because we want drainage. If you're starting these on your windowsill in your apartment, you might want to get a solid tray. That way when this fills up with water, you can take it in the bathroom or the kitchen and dump it out. We want drainage because we're in a greenhouse, so we want this water to just drain out. Maybe you're stuck at home right now playing a lot of beer pong. You got a lot of those red Solo cups sitting around. Pop a hole in the bottom. That's it. I'm going to show you. Here's a little yogurt container. Same thing. One little hole in the bottom. Boom. Here's a fun one. Everybody's been hoarding this toilet paper. Well, hopefully you've got some toilet paper rolls. You're saving those. This is actually from a paper towel. You can cut this into 3 pieces. Do that. 4 little cuts on the bottom. You can fold these in. Boom. Instant little planter. See that? You can write on there what that is as well. And then this you can actually plant directly in the soil if you're transplanting into a bed. You don't even need to transplant it out of there. We've also got tea bags. Tea bags are a great little thing to start seeds in. What you do, you just fold them over, all your soil's right there, crack that open, stick a seed right in there, moisten that up. Got a couple in here. We're going to do a few right in there. Bend that over, open that up. Boom. Another one to use is your egg cartons. These make a perfect little cell to plant seedlings in. We like to use our available on-site resources around here. That means using what you've got. So there's a few homemade planters, a few things you can do right on your windowsill, right in your apartment. Get you started. On a bigger scale, we use these 6-packs. Buy us some time before plants need to be transplanted into the garden. You can direct sow seeds into the garden if your soil's warm enough. But we are very water conscious here. We always deal with our water shortage here in Northern California. We don't get rain for 6 months, so we have to be very water conscious. And when you plant a whole bed of seedlings, you end up using a lot more water keeping that moist than you would just keeping a 6-pack moist until it can go in the ground. So it's a little more labor on the front end to start our seeds in all these trays, but it's going to make it a lot more efficient when we do our water, and we're going to be able to conserve our water resources throughout the year. I'm going to talk to you about how to read the seed packages and all the information that's on there. It's going to guide you in getting more seeds to pop. One of the most important things is your seed planting depth, 1/4 inch. An easy way to guesstimate if it doesn't list this information is you want to bury it about twice as deep as the seed is long. So these seeds are probably about 1/8 of an inch long. We're going to bury them about 1/4 inch. And when it's 1/4 inch, I'll usually just lay them directly on the soil and just sprinkle a little soil right on top. This tells us the days to germination, 10 to 14 days. That's how long we can expect before these seeds pop up above the soil. Plant spacing after thinning. This is if you were to direct sow them into the ground. You could plant them a lot thicker than 12 to 18 inches, and then you would just thin them out so that you have your best, healthiest ones at every 12 to 18 inches. Now I'm going to tell you about using seedling heat mats. A lot of plants need high soil temperatures before they're going to germinate. Peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, these are warm season crops. They usually need a temperature about 75 degrees. This makes them think it's springtime, it's time to go, the soil's warm, it's time for them to do what they do best. So these are some heat mats. This is a heat mat thermostat. Oftentimes if you don't use a thermostat, these heat mats will get too hot. They can heat up to 90 degrees, 100 degrees, and can overheat these seedlings, often cooking them in their own soil. So you want to get one of these heat mat thermostats. You can plug 4 heat mats into this one. We're going to set it right here to 75 degrees. You set it right here in the middle. And then this is a temperature probe. We're actually going to stick this down in between these these seedling trays, and the bottom of the tray right there. That's going to actually measure the temperature right at the bottom of this tray. And keep this at a cool 75 degrees. Make these tomato starts think it's springtime. They'll pop up. Once they get above ground, you want to turn off the seedling heat mats and stop using them. It gets your plants off to a good start, but it's not going to overcook them. We're just trying to help them get a good jump start and get above the ground. I want to show you one more tray type, and then we're going to plant some seeds. This is a flat just built out of 1x4. You can build these out of cedar or hardwoods. Will definitely take longer to break down, but even just Douglas fir or regular framing kind of wood will work just fine. It's got slats on the bottom for drainage and airflow. It's just built out of 1x4s. We're going to fill this up with our growing medium. You can see this medium's got lots of wood chips in it. It's going to have lots of good drainage and aeration. We're going to get lots of soil in there. We want to make sure we've got at least 3 inches of soil depth in here. Give these seedlings a good start. I'm going to add a little bit more to this tray. Now we're going to take this over to our table and plant some seeds. So now we've got our tray, we've got our aerated soil mix. We're going to talk about moistening the soil. You can use a hose, you can use a spray bottle. You want to make sure you're planting into some soil that's already got some moisture in it. It's already wet. This is just a little demonstration. We're actually going to wet this down with a hose, but I just want to show you, you can do this just with a spray bottle. Next we're going to talk about creating little straight rows to plant your seeds in. One really simple way to do this is to just use a stake. We're just going to put this in here and create a long little rows here. We want our spacing about 2 inches. And this just gives us some little rows to plant in that are nice and straight. Another way that you can do this is we built this little frame. This is just 1-inch chicken wire on a couple pieces of 2x2. And this is a pattern that you see in nature. This looks like a honeycomb. And nature is really good at telling us the most efficient ways to do these things. When we mimic the patterns we see in nature, we can build systems that are very efficient. This design and shape is actually how you can fit the most items in one space. Instead of having them all line up next to each other, you have them alternate. So these are 1-inch spacing. So if we wanted to plant 1-inch spacing, we would just do a hole in each one of these. If we wanted to do a 2-inch spacing, we would just skip each other one. And yeah, there's your holes. You can also use a tool like this to sift out big pieces of wood or pieces of plant material out of your soil. If you wanted a finer soil mix, you didn't want to have so much drainage material in there, you can shovel your soil through this and compost or soil and get the big clods and lumps out of it. So now we're going to plant our seeds. This is a white cherry tomato, very small seed. They're about 1/8 of an inch long. We're going to plant them about 1/4 inch deep, which means we're basically just going to leave them directly on the soil, on the top of the soil, and then just sprinkle a little soil on top of them. I'm going to use my chicken wire spacer that we showed you to get our 3-inch spacing. They say on the package to plant these 2 to 3 inch spaced, so we're going to go 3 inches here because we want to be able to leave these in the tray a little longer before going in our garden. So because these seeds only want to be buried 1/4 inch, we've got them laying on the surface now. We're just going to sprinkle a little bit of soil right on top of them. We just want them to be barely covered. So we're going to sprinkle the soil down our row. Got our rows that are 3 inches apart. Make sure that our seedlings are covered. We have 4 rows in this tray. We want these seeds to just be able to pop right out of this soil. That's it. And now we're going to just water it down, make sure it's got some moisture. We're going to put it on our seedling heat mat, and hopefully in about 14 days we'll have some little tomato plants popping up. Next I'm going to talk about some of the pests you're going to face in your greenhouse and how to keep your little seedlings safe. Often we're starting these in the springtime and there's not a lot of food sources around, so there's a few things you're going to need to worry about and prepare for. Number 1 pest in the greenhouse, I would say, is slugs. Little tiny slugs. They love to come in and eat your little plants. The best, easiest way to trap these is with what we call a beer trap. You can use just a small yogurt container. This is a salsa container. Cut a couple small squares near the top. You're going to fill this up with beer, and this is a waterproof one. It's got a lid on it. You can put this near your trays. You can bury this in your garden right up to ground level. And we're going to pour a little beer in here, and the yeast in the beer is actually going to attract the slugs. You don't have to feed them a delicious Humboldt County craft beer, but if it's going to be their last meal, you might as well stoke them out. Really crappy beer works just as well. That's our little seed trap. Oh, waste not, want not. A little yeast trap. You can also make these with 2 cups of warm water, 2 teaspoons of yeast, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and mix that up, and that'll work just as good. They're going to be attracted to that yeast. But now we've got our 2 little yeast beer traps for our slugs. We're going to put these next to our seed starts. The slugs come out at night, so you're not going to see them during the day, but you're going to come out here and you're going to see these are full of them. And the rotting dead slugs is actually going to attract more slugs. So you want to empty these out every couple of days or once a week, add more beer. You can dump this out in your compost pile, it's totally fine. The next big pest that we face is mice. Mice love to eat this stuff. So mice traps are crucial. I'm going to show you today how to make a little peanut butter and jelly sandwich to go. This is something that will keep the mice from just coming and licking off your peanut butter and getting away. You're going to take a little piece of aluminum foil, little bit of peanut butter, just dab it on there in the middle, and we're going to just wrap this up like a little sandwich. I'm going to wrap that up right there, and then here's our very old mouse trap. We're going to wrap this aluminum foil around the part that's going to bait the mice. So now when they come to this, they're going to try to nibble through this. They won't be able to just lick it clean. Sometimes you set a mouse trap and they just lick it right clean, but this mouse trap has got a tasty little sandwich on it. He's going to have to take a couple nibbles, try to bite through that, and while they're nibbling through that, it's going to get them. So that's your mouse trap sandwich to go. The other big pest that I want to mention that this garden had a lot of problems with last year are birds. You wouldn't think that birds could eat your seedlings, but that's a big pest problem. So if you're growing in your apartment, that's not a problem. If you're growing in a greenhouse, you want to make sure your greenhouse is sealed up, One of the big places where birds will sneak into your greenhouse and are often overlooked are the vents for your fans. These are exhaust fans in the top of our greenhouse. They help with our airflow. So we've had to add a little hardware cloth over this one on the left to keep the birds out, and so far it's done a great job. This greenhouse has lower sidewalls that roll up. This helps us get good airflow. Those vents we just showed you exhaust the hot air. This pulls in cool air from the lower part of the greenhouse, exhausts it out of the top part of the greenhouse. But that also opened up this whole lower part of our greenhouse. So we added hardware cloth here to keep the birds out. I want to thank our farm crew. I want to thank our Heartwood family. I want to thank our family out in Hawaii at our sister farm, the Dragonheart Farm in Kohala on the Big Island. We're going to be producing a lot of content side by side with them, show you how we're doing things here in our Mediterranean climate, how they do things out there in their subtropical climate. And we hope to be producing more content that's helpful to you. So follow along, tune back in, watch our garden grow throughout the season, and send us pictures and videos of what you're growing in your garden this year, and we can share that and help keep this information going. So thank you, aloha, much love.